Welcome back to Mass Appeal. It's January, and that means school is back in session. And if your child's getting in trouble, it's no fun for anyone. Luckily, today we have parenting expert Bill Corbett. He's here to share some advice for parents when it comes to handling misbehavior at school. Bill, thank you for stopping by.
Glad to be here.
It must be tough as a parent because you get that phone call from a teacher who's obviously overworked, telling you that your kid's done something wrong, but you don't know because you weren't there for it.
Right. It's very frustrating for parents to have to do something that you've not seen or that you have no control in that environment. And teachers are frustrated because challenging behavior is difficult to deal with, and they need help.
And so we have a list of 5 things that parents can do to help in those situations, even though they're tricky situations. And the first one is, as a parent, knowing that you can only really control what your children does when they're at home.
Right. So one of the first things that I encourage parents to do is ask the teacher specifically, what is the behavior that's really causing the challenging behavior, so that I can look for it at home. Now, I can do something about that, and I can work on that with my child. So help me, as a professional, break down what it is that's causing the challenge.
Because it might be symptomatic of a larger problem that you can really help correct at home.
Right, and it also could be caused by the classroom, not necessarily in the home, which can be really frustrating.
And that kind of leads us to our second tip, because when that teacher calls you and said that there's an issue, you're getting one side of it. You don't know what your child's thought process was, so you can always ask them to explain it to you in their own words.
Right, because what happens is parents want to know what to do. Do I punish my child? If she brought home 5 frown faces this week, what do I do about that? I tell parents, don't punish, don't set up consequences about behavior that happens in another environment. What you do is sit down and allow the child to talk about what happened. Ask open-ended questions to find out what's going on, to get the child's perspective on the issue.
Now, Bill, I am interested in what you said, because your next tip is to avoid those consequences for at-school behavior. But isn't it kind of not a parent's job to punish, but if there's something going wrong, you need to tell your child, whether it be by punishment or verbally, that that behavior is not okay? Yeah,
that's different than consequences. Telling your child, you know what, that kind of behavior is not okay. But setting up a consequence or a punishment about an activity or a behavior that happened in another environment, especially when they're little kids, they're not going to get the connection. So it's not really going to be effective to do that. So avoid the consequences, avoid the punishment, talk about it, let your child know that you're not okay with that, and move on.
So the next thing you can do, and that's really what it's about, it's about letting that school incident be an isolated incident. But then you take your kid, you sit him down and you start talking to him, and then you search for those similar behaviors. But those oftentimes don't manifest themselves maybe in the same way that your child acted out when he or she was at school.
They didn't, and you can seek a professional to help you with that, and work with the teacher. She's on your team, believe it or not. He or she is on your team, and find out what is the core behavior that's causing the problem. Look for any similarities at home that you can do something about.
Because as you were saying earlier, you can't punish what you didn't see. And lastly, it's really important that we get everybody in on a situation, because you're not enough, your child's not enough, their educators aren't enough. You need to set up a meeting with everyone and really get to the root of the problem.
You are your child's project manager. So the bottom line is, if you don't see that behavior at home, then the next step for you is to go to the school and pull a meeting together with all the professionals, the teacher, school psychologist, the principal, and let them help you solve this problem. But you're the project manager. Bring everyone together so you can come to a solution as a team.
Because we were talking about it earlier, teachers are so overworked these days, principals are overworked. So really, it's about you taking control of your child's life and being that point person so that you can really get desirable results for your kid and really help them to be a better person.
Take charge. It's your child. You want a positive outcome to this issue.
Well, Bill, thank you so much for bringing that positive attitude here. We appreciate having you here today.
Glad to be here.